Hey, how's it going everybody? It's TheGameconomist back with another PvP guide. Today I'll be using the Soldering Iron, also pronounced the Soldering Iron depending on where you live. Alright, well let's get started. So, the Soldering Iron is the third shortest spear in the game. At the same time, it does terrible damage. So this is more of a meme weapon. You really wouldn't use it unless you're maybe cosplaying a jailer, which the jailer armor isn't very good either. It's a light set of armor, it doesn't really give you any absorption. So yeah, it's more of a cosplay, have fun sort of weapon. You're not really going to be winning any serious duels with this. It scales on strength and dexterity, the weapon does, and when you take it to 40-40, you know, a typical quality build, it really doesn't do any more damage because the scaling is so bad. It goes from like 250 to 300, just terrible. At the same time, that's split damage. It's going to do fire and physical for its damage typing, right? And the problem with that is if you're fighting somebody who has a strength build, you know that the strength stat also increases your fire defense. So anytime you fight a strength build, they actually get a nice little bonus defense against the fire damage on this weapon. So terrible. The reality is I was doing like, I don't know, like 150 to 200 damage in my R1 combos. And so yeah, what I ended up doing is I just met the minimum requirements of 10 strength and 12 dexterity, and then I brought a pyromancer build, and that was way more viable. And of course that's because the pyromancy is kind of carrying me, but how else are you going to use this weapon and expect to win any of your fights, like any at all? Because when you're doing the damage of a throwing knife, maybe it's just kind of a joke, you know what I mean? I had fights where I was doing so good, like my opponent was not hitting me, I was landing hit after hit on them, and they would like get annoyed and just sit down because I was doing so little damage. Like they could tell that I was winning the match in terms of skill, but I didn't have enough damage to kill them, so they would just like sit down and just let me finish them off. And I'd have to R1 combo them like 5 more times. It was ridiculous. So yeah, the damage is just not there on this weapon, and you really only are going to be doing this for the memes, guys. And that's what I have for you, so stick around. So what is there to say when I talk about using this weapon in duels? I mean, it's bad. You're outranged by everything. You know, it has terrible spear tracking. It actually felt like it had worse spear tracking than usual. I don't know if that's even a thing, but yeah, it just sort of felt like the tracking, like on the R2, like they never updated it or something. It was just really bad. You've got the charge weapon art, which is basically pointless. It would deal like 150 damage if I caught anybody, but I guess it was a hyper armor option, but I wasn't wearing good absorption armor, so it's not worth trading with them anyways. Yeah, everything about this was terrible in duels. Maybe one of the worst experiences I had. I don't know, maybe like similar to if you just did bare fists or the dark hand. I think the dark hand would technically be easier than this. But then at the same time, I had my pyromancies, and those are terrifically strong. So I ended up winning a fair amount of my matches. I actually lost a lot with this weapon. I may not reflect that in the footage because I want to show you the footage that I think you'll find fun, but I actually lost plenty of matches, so keep that in mind. For invasions, it was the same deal. Like, oh my god, if you're going to deal 200 damage on your R1 combo, the host can literally stand in front of you and just drink Estus. He doesn't care, you know what I mean? Like, he's going to be embered and have like 1600 health, and you're going to deal 200 damage with your R1 combo. Not going to happen. At the same time, relying strictly on your pyromancy is just kind of subpar when it comes to invasions, right? Because the problem with pyromancy is your opponent gets better and better at dodging them, and so it's not like you can just pressure them. You can't really pressure them with pyromancies as good as you can with like a poise weapon, and you know what I'm talking about? So invasions, it's going to get, just like in duels, it's going to get a very bad rating. There is one interesting thing about it I feel like I should mention. So one of the attributes of this weapon is they get marked, and their Estus only heals like the base amount that it would normally heal, like before it got upgraded. And I guess that's a benefit. I mean, it's technically a good thing, but it doesn't matter because the weapon itself is so trash. Like, who cares if their Estus doesn't heal anything? This is a bad weapon, so you can't kill them. they're just going to go resummon their buddies, or they're going to overwhelm you with whatever weapon they have. And finally, in PvE, of course, it's the same story. Why would you want to use a weapon that has virtually no damage to kill anything, especially some of the bosses that have huge health pools, right? Which we did with Gundyr. If you're watching, we had that little fun fight with Gundyr. That was like New Game +7 or something like that. It took us forever to kill him. So yeah, overall, this is a very bad weapon. I would only recommend playing with it for the memes, for the laughs, right? And that's all I have to say about it. Thank you guys for watching. There will be some invasions after this, and at the end, there'll be the tier rating. So stick around, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, good grief.
You're fired.
NANI?! Gotcha, bitch!
Very good.